This is Wild Horse Studios, and for this video I'm going to show you how to paint a chestnut or a sorrel on a horse with an airbrush. This color starts out pretty much the same as a bay. The only difference between a chestnut and a bay as far as your colors is you don't need a black. There's not any black needed for a chestnut. Most of my chestnuts are just two colors. There's just a lot of shading in them between the first color and the second color. The first color I use is that same, the same orangey brown color as I used on the bay, which is a raw Sienna. There are other colors you can use, but you just kind of have to experiment with them and see what works. Again, this is going to be your base coat. You don't really have to worry about any shading or anything too much. You just want it as solid as possible. If you use this color, it's going to look very orange, but it won't end up like that. This guy, he has a face and 3 leg markings, so I'm using the masking tape method on him, where you just tape off what you want to stay white after you've primed it. Really the only difference, like, it doesn't make a huge difference in the ending. I think that hand painting them tends to look a little cleaner. You don't have any messed up edges or anything. It might come with masking tape. But really, which one I use just depends on how much time I have. Like, I have to go back to school in 3 days or something, so I'm using the masking tape so I can get them done. I don't like to leave horses that are halfway done laying on a table for more than a few days, because they end up with dust all over them and then it sticks to them if they don't have a finish. But for most of the ones that I will do, like in the summer, like commissions and stuff, most of those, all the white markings are hand painted. The only times I absolutely cannot use the masking tape is when I have a very loud pinto that is in Umber. Even loud Tobianos I can sometimes tape off. But if I have something like this, which is my reference for my Star Walker, I don't have any choice but to hand paint it, just because there's so many intricate pieces and you can't get those with masking tape. But the only colors that I use masking tape for every time are like pintos that have a lot of white, that are mostly white. Let's see, Shaman was used masking tape because he's mostly white. Let's see, Hephaestus Happy, that's my Jurassic custom on the Black Beauty mold. Was another one that was taped off. If you see pictures of him, he's mostly white. And I just do that because hand painting that takes forever. Like, I don't mind doing most of my pintos or Naples hand painting, but something like that, it's just a big white area, and it takes, I think I have 10 layers on each side of my Star Walker, so it's like a minimum of 10 layers of white. It's just very time consuming. And when you have bigger areas, sometimes it even takes longer just because it doesn't come out even. And because this is a chestnut, you do have to paint all the way down the legs with the base coat. You don't with the bag, but you do with the chestnut. Because you're going to shade those legs later. Instead of just painting them black. So this is honestly a better example of the base coat than the horse in my bay video. It's a very solid, very orange color. Again, this is an example. You want to make sure you get the front of the legs because I completely missed it on this guy before you change colors. I have a turntable in my Airbrush, so if you see me kind of moving around and not falling over, it's probably just because the turntable moved. The disadvantage to that is that if you have a mold like Jim Twist, where he kind of wants to fall over anyway, he's going to fall over, almost always. And then you're going to use that dark brown color again that I used on the bay, which is burnt umber, I think. And you're going to use the same shading that you did with the bay. Again, I started the back and moved forward for the most part. Airbrush isn't cooperating, it wants to make it really dark. He's not do that dark. There, that's better. Maybe. It was. It's fine when I do the bay. Now it doesn't like me. Maybe I'll paint too. Now that I think about it, that one was kind of empty. Yeah, I'm just out of paint. So I'm going to mix up some more red color. Too dark, it's just going to make that back leg look a lot worse. Okay, now it's working now. Maybe. Why do you hate me? Okay, this is one of those moments where it wants to put out a lot of paint. So I'm just going to back up and go slow, and it should be okay. If not, I'll repaint them later and you can see the idea. Because it keeps going from not working to splattering paint everywhere. And I'm not really sure why. Because it was fine with this color earlier. again, you just want to follow the same basic shading rules as last time. This time, instead of using black to shade the nose and eyes and ears, you want to use this brown, but you do the same thing. And you also want to take, I don't think I said that in my other video, you also want to take that color which was black in the other video and it's brown in this video, you want to take it and go across that edge on their cheekbone. Go back and paint my tail at the end. The tail you don't actually have to make two colors. It depends on the horse. It just depends on your references. Some horses, chestnuts, have a really dark tail. Others have a very reddish brown tail. If it has a very dark tail, you can just use this color. But if it has a more reddish brown tail, you'll have to shade it like you do the rest of the body. Where your airbrush doesn't want to put out very much paint, a great moment to do the shading in the muscles, because it's not going to go everywhere. Now I can do this, if my airbrush is working normally, I can do this anyway. It doesn't bother me. But it does take some practice to do your stuff like that. That's how I do dabbles too. You just have to be really careful in just doing little dots at a time. Do not ever get that close to your model. Just by the way, because when your airbrush is working fine, you will have paint everywhere. But the more you figure out about your airbrush, the more you can figure out what you can get away with and what you can't. Basically, that's how you do a chestnut. He's going to end up more this color, not this color. But basically, you just do that, and then you paint the tail with your airbrush, and that's it. All of the detailing, again, I do by hand. I do hoofs, eyes, chestnuts, sometimes manes and tails, all that by hand. White markings, like I said, it depends. This guy, they're just taped off. See it on his face and on 3 of his legs. But I will show them later after I get my paint fixed. fixed my airbrush now. Figured out that my needle was loose. It wasn't actually paint at all. And I'm finishing him up now. I'm just going to finish shading this side. So that it matches. And again, make sure you get that part really dark. And then I'm going to switch and do the tail, which I think is going to be difficult because there's not much to hold on to. Thin color, this is what's gonna happen. Like your paint is just a little too watery. I added a little water to mine because I thought it was too thick, and this is what happens. If this happens, it's not a big deal if it's on the tail or something where you're gonna make it darker anyway. But if you do that and it happens on the body, that's kind of difficult to fix.